Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the West Pasco Board of Realtors General Membership Meeting for May. I'd like to thank everyone who's attending our live stream today. This is a little unusual, and the first time we're doing this, which is kind of cool, and we hope that you appreciate the ability to join us, even though we cannot all get together in one space. I'd like to start by thanking our sponsors, Paul Friedlander with Total Title Solutions and Mike Chisel with Mike Chisel Mortgage. And I'm going to invite Paul to come up and say a few words.
And the crowd goes crazy. Hey, everyone out there, it is sort of unique. Excited to be here. Excited to sponsor this first general membership that we're doing as a Zoom/webinar or whatever facilitating we're doing right now. But I am Paul Friedlander. I'm an account executive with Total Title Solutions. And I just wanted to go over a couple things. I normally just go off the cuff, but with things the way they are right now, I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything. And I know there's a lot of concern over what's going on. Things are starting to loosen up and get better. But I know there's still people out there, and you have to respect if they're nervous, if they're worried, and you have to respect that. So we have invested heavily in our IT infrastructure. Closed cloud working environment, paperless closing, and remote capabilities to allow our staff to continue operating while others may not be able to do so. With that in mind, we have additional options for you. If you choose to practice social distancing, or if you and your family are feeling ill, we have e-closing solutions for you dependent upon lender approval. So close on the device of your choice, help prevent the spread. Kids home from school, no challenges. Under the weather, we have you covered. Prefer to close at home, again, no challenges. Close nearly anywhere remotely. E-closings average 25 minutes or less. So do you have a deal under contract now that you'd like to see do an e-closing on? We can do that for you. I do not have them up, but I do have some websites, so if you want to call into Mike or wherever that information is, we can give you those sites to go look and see what we do. And I briefly, real quick, would just like to go over, we still do traditional closings. Traditional closings are 80 to 200 sheets of paper, require specific location, physical in-person ID. We have hybrid e-closings, which are only about 60 to 120 sheets of paper. Again, requires a specific location, physical person ID check required, no video recording. We have in-person e-closings, 0 sheets of paper used. Requires specific location, but forensic identity analysis. Notarial act is recorded. And then we have the RON, which is the remote online notarization e-closing. 0 sheets of paper used, available remotely. Forensic identity analysis. The notarial act is actually recorded, and the fastest funding times available. We just, to give you an example, we had one of the buyers located in the Czech Republic. We were able to do that remotely, get the identification, and do the whole 9 yards. So if you are finding some binds, we know there's loyalty, and we expect that you have loyalty to whoever you've been working with. But if you ever get into a bind, need any help, or have any questions, by all means, you know you can always call me at 727-276-1346. Paul Friedlander, Total Title Solutions. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Paul. We appreciate everything that Total Title does for the Board of Realtors here in West Pasco. At this point, I'd like to bring up Mike Chisel. He's going to give a little chat to you, talk about him and what he does.
Thank you, Mike. Hello, folks, and thank you for the opportunity to go ahead and speak to you today. I am Mike Chisel, owner of Mike Chisel Mortgage, conveniently located in Trinity, just on the road about 15 minutes in Pasco County, of course. We are direct lenders and mortgage brokers. We have been doing lending in the Tampa Bay area for over 32 years now. My team and I, we are recognized for our excellent communication service and, of course, rates and closing on time. Not only are we certified mortgage planners, but we're also certified mortgage underwriters. So what that means is when you get a letter from us for your client who's been pre-approved with us, we're not going to change the pre-approval or have that mortgage denied in the future. We're going to go ahead, close the mortgage smoothly on time, no hiccups whatsoever. So it's just a matter of working with people who you know, like, know, and trust, and can get to the closing in a very boring, smooth fashion. As a matter of fact, yesterday, I had an agent tell me, who's on the listing side, She said, I've been doing real estate now for over 20 years, and I've never experienced the level of service or communication that your company gives. And she's on the listing side. And we said, ma'am, this is what we do for every single loan. We over-communicate, make sure all parties are involved so they know exactly where the transaction stands, of course, and we're all the way through, of course, honestly telling the truth what's happening with the mortgage. So, folks, I would love the opportunity to go ahead and earn your trust in business. If you're looking for someone who's honest, ethical, professional, super knowledgeable in this business, and you want to go ahead and take that mortgage contract, the contract, real estate contract, to a nice, smooth, boring finish, please call us anytime, 727-376-6900, Mike Giselle. Thank you so much.
Thank you again, Mike. And before we move on, I would just like to thank WeBeam TV, who's providing us with our video and audio streaming today. Thank you very much. At this point, we'd like to, yes, absolutely. Beautiful job, beautiful job. At this point, we'd like to give our committee report, so I'm going to invite Connie Lucco to come up and talk on behalf of the Civic Affairs Committee.
I guess I'm short. Everybody else was tall. Civic Affairs Committee. As the past chair of the Civic Affairs Committee, Jim Wallace couldn't attend today. As I see John lowering the camera over there, I must be really short. Thank you for that, John. As past chair, I am happy to announce we are having our first Zoom meeting next week. Next Thursday. I want to invite any of the Civic Affairs, well, any of the members to the Civic Affairs Committee as well. We meet the last Thursday of the month at 10 o'clock right here at the board. For those that don't know what the Civic Affairs Committee does, it is a committee that goes out and does community efforts. We have a lot of, in this coronavirus, we have a lot of schools that can't provide enough food. We have a lot of people, kids that are left home with, so to speak, terrible parents. We need to keep them safe. We need to feed everybody out there. So the committee is looking right now to set guidelines to disperse about $10,000+ this year. With the board's help, we're trying to get the guidelines in order, invite the new organizations such as nonprofits or for-profits in this area in to give us some spiel about what they do out there, and then we're going to choose some great groups that we're going to work with this year to disperse the funds. We haven't determined that yet, but we're working on it when we reconvene and do our Zoom meeting this month. I just wanted to tell you, the Civic Affairs is not going to do with Gus Bilirakis, as it has been canceled, the Veterans Fair this year, but we are looking to do the memorial at Meadowlawns and put the flags on the grave sites of the veterans in November. We are getting ready and geared up to do that. We know as a lot of nonprofits out in this area have suffered because they couldn't hold their big annual events this year. A lot of them had to cancel them. So we're going to see what we can do with that money moving forward to help our community in Pasco County. We need to make a difference in Pasco County, so get involved in the Civic Affairs Committee, please. Get involved. It's good for your business. It's good for the community that we all live in every day. Buy a license plate for Habitat for Humanity and support them because they are part of the Civic Affairs group as well. That's all I have to report on the Civic Affairs. We'll let you know what's coming. Thank you. Education Committee. So I chair the Education Committee right now. If you don't know what we do, we get you in the door here to view all of our training sessions and education. We started out strong at the beginning of the year. I was determined that this group, and I applaud this group most of all. We had a lot of people at the table, seats. There wasn't an empty seat in our January, February meeting. The members went above and beyond, that committee members. We hammered out the whole year full. We had every month was about booked. And then this darn virus hit. And then we were on hold. So we had to cancel everything from March, I guess the end of April and May. But we are back on board. We have quite a few things coming up. My goal was to educate this year, along with Mike, our board president, of course. We decided to elevate everybody's business, new and seasoned, I won't call you old, seasoned agents out there. We had put on the schedule a lot of good panel discussions this year. We did a lot of general meetings. We had almost 17 of those booked. We had 4 or 5 panel meetings that were booked, from selling the salt life to doing networking, meeting at night, and then it went down south. But that's okay, we're back on board. We have got them all back on the schedule. We have, after orientation, we have 6 trainings that every new agent should attend. Get involved, again, with the education committee. If you want to see something that you're not seeing out there, as far as educating, get involved. We need your input. But we will be back and stronger than ever this month, and we have trainings that you won't want to miss, 6 a month from now through the end of the year. We'll start back up June 1st, so get involved, come to them, please. We need the people in these seats. That's all I have to say. Education Committee, thank you.
I went for the fist, you went for the elbow. At this point, I'd like to invite Mr. Greg Armstrong to come up and talk about public policy. Give it up for Greg.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Greg Armstrong, Chairman of the Public Policy Committee. As you know, a lot of things are challenging this year, and the election 2020 is going to be no exception. There is a lot of fear among elected officials throughout our area, throughout our state, and our nation, that the decisions made this year are going to be made by a record small turnout. The fear of the virus may drive that. As realtors, we have a duty not only to vote for our society, for ourselves, for our families, but also as realtors, because realtors have the duty for all Americans to look out for property rights. So I encourage you first to remember that when it becomes August, and August is not far away, that we need to vote in the primary and then we need to vote in the general. Now, as a committee, we're going to have some challenges this year in getting the message from the candidates to you. But we're going to work on that as a committee, and we're going to meet in the next few weeks as soon as we get into phase 2, and we're going to come up with a way to get our candidates in our county and our state races to you so that you can make an informed decision. And when we send it out to all the members, we want to make sure that we get more people involved in the Public Policy Committee, because what the Public Policy Committee does is echo the sentiment of real estate agents throughout our board to our local candidates, to our state candidates, and NAR to the national candidates. So be on the lookout for that. We'll look forward to having your participation in the Public Policy Committee. Have a great day. Happy selling.
Thank you, Greg. At this point, I'd like to invite Cookie Miller to come up and give her committee report for RPAC.
Here's a short one again. Hello, everyone. Just a quick thing. We wanted to just let you know that we are in need of your help for our RPAC goal, which we are $8,000 short of. We did collect quite a bit, but we are $8,000 short, and so we have decided to do an online auction, which we are running June 10th to June 24th. We've already received some great donations, and so we're asking you for your help. And just to give you an idea, one of the donations that we received was a scalloping boat trip, so you can bid on that. We're also doing a sunset margarita cruise. We have some Bucks tickets. So basically, we're asking everyone to kind of reach out to their contacts and see if you can get a donation of something that we can auction off to meet our goal. Everyone, we encourage you to also, if you can, pay the $25 extra with your dues. It does go to RPAC. It is a good cause, and we encourage you to help us out on our committee if you can. And that's about it. Thank you.
One quick side note. For those of you who wanted to be an essential business in the state of Florida, you can thank all the RPAC supporters for making that happen. So RPAC is a very worthy cause, and everyone should support it. At this point, I'd like to invite Darian Ward up to give us our committee report for the Business Partners Committee.
Good afternoon. The business partners have decided to postpone the trade show this year. It was brought up at our last meeting. We do not have a date set yet, but it is looking at in the fall time, somewhere either early October or late September, so keep your eyes and ears open for that. We'll announce those dates when it comes. Other than that, most of our meetings have, of course, been postponed. So we'll let you guys know when things start back up as we start to open up each phase. But we hope to see all of our lovely realtors out there when we can meet up again. That's all we have. Thank you so much.
So I'd like to thank all of our committee chair people who came today to give their reports, and everybody watching at home. These people deserve a round of applause. They've been doing Zoom meetings and getting together when we couldn't physically be together in person, and our committee chair people and our committee volunteers have done an amazing job this year, and I'd like to commend them for the work that they've done during this entire thing. At this point, I would like to introduce our guest speaker, Mr. Gary Joyner, the Pasco County Property Appraiser. He's going to come up and give us some awesome information about Pasco County.
You know, one of the first questions I have to ask is, how long do you want me to go? Because unfortunately, sometimes I can talk too much. There is a lot. It is nice to be able to be out and be around, you know, some other folks. You know, we spent a month at home also. That doesn't mean we weren't working, because unfortunately, we still have to put a tax roll out. And so we had staff working from home. You know, I think Lou said a little bit ago, you know, about security. Our IT department, before we ever left to send anybody home, did exactly that. We beefed everything up. The last thing I wanted was a security breach from someone's home while they were working. So we spent a little bit of extra money and got that done. I will get that money back. You know, on a side note, the county received that CARES money. So anything extra that we've spent on COVID-19, such as having to buy all the extra security stuff, county is gracious enough to pay us back for those things. So it's not money that, you know, we've had to lose or go find. It's money that's kind of like found money we've gotten. So it's a great thing. Some of the, you know, we're a different type of business. We're not a type of the year driven business. Luckily, we closed after one of our busiest times, which would have been homestead exemptions, trying to get them in. And that was one of our biggest things, is trying to go long enough and stay physically in the office to let people come in. I can tell you, I was on meetings or phone calls every week with our association, property appraiser. I was the last county in the state to close. We stayed open as long as we could, stayed at the office as long as we could to get it done. And our field staff was the same way. We're trying to get everything buttoned up right before we had to go home. And that was all the new construction, you know, anything like that. I did have some staff that, you know, unfortunately, my field staff that normally would be out in the field all day driving around didn't. So it was a great time for them to spend 30 days with a lot of new training. They still had the files to go through and get ready, so when they came back, I was joking with them this morning, they've got piles of work, and it's rechecks. You know, every 5 years by law, we're supposed to go out and recheck a house to make sure there's any additions, no rooms that we don't know about, anything like that. Sometimes permits get missed, sometimes we don't get them, and sometimes people don't pull a permit. It's hard to believe, but it does happen. So yeah, we're ready. We're out there doing that. We're very careful knocking doors. That's the last
resort is to go knock on someone's door. The good news is we never go inside. What you have inside your house that's your business. We don't go in and appraise that. Ours is by square footage, the type of house and so forth. So we don't care if you got granite. We don't care if you got, whatever you have is your business. So we are doing that. You know, my fraud department is having, unfortunately, to knock a few doors right now to help some cases. I mean, it's hard not to get statements from people when you're trying to prove homestead fraud. Homesteads through March 30th, our numbers are probably about 500 more than applied last year. This year we had, my internets were about almost 8,000 applications came through the internet and 6,200 came through over the counter. Internets are always higher for us, so we're still at a total of, you know, almost 14,300 people purchased a home and applied for homestead in the last year, which were all 19 purchases. And I wanted a note on that. People think, you know, the law does say March 1st, you need to apply for homestead exemption. We don't keep that in black and white. It's a gray area. Statute allows gray areas. This is one of them. So if you know of somebody that bought a house in 19, was in the house before January of 20, as long as they were in there prior to that, purchased a home in 19, we will still give them homestead for next year. All the way up until the trim notices go out in August. So they still have a few more months. And we do get people where they can't get a driver's license yet, where they still maybe have to get a birth certificate from another state to get a driver's license. Those things happen. We understand it. So yes, we will still give homestead for a few more months yet. So if you do know somebody, please send them our way. We'll take care of it. More than likely, we're going to need them to come in the office so we can verify everything instead of online, but absolutely we'll do it. We looked at numbers from 1819, and I had my residential staff look at numbers for 20 so far, and this was as of Monday. Everywhere has dropped in sales period have dropped. You know, last year we recorded almost 13,500 sales throughout the county. So far, we're only at 3,200, and that's through May. So it's definitely, it's really going to have to pick up the next several months to even come close to what last year's numbers were. But I will say, the sales price in all but 3 places has dropped. And what surprises me is Hudson and Holiday are still over 7% higher than they were last year, average sale prices. We've had one area that's dropped 15%, and that's Spring Hill. And yet they were up, which is, you know, north of Hudson, but that was up over 15 last year, and now we're down over 15 there. So value, I mean, I've got them anywhere. Spring Hill dropped 15.4. Port Richey is still up 8.9 over last year for average sales amounts. I think it's impressive. Some of the areas we personally all thought might drop a little bit haven't, but yet areas that were really booming and staying up there are starting to drop a little bit, anywhere from the 5, like say, all the way to 15. I hope that doesn't continue, and I know you hope that doesn't continue. It affects you a lot more than it's going to affect us. So the average, you know, sales prices drop, square footage. Actually, the year of the home has actually dropped because we record that too. And the average home sold in the county is like a 1990 home, which surprised me. It dropped 6 years from last year. We've been watching that, and it's been going up a little bit. You know, the average year has been going up, but then this year it kind of dropped quite a bit, so that was a surprise to us also. Tax roll is down for last year. You know, we've gotten some preliminary numbers, and I have to have them to the county here pretty soon. You know, last year we came in at like 8.5% overall growth in the county. This year's not going to be that. We're still using numbers from January 1, so it's not we're going to take numbers that happen, you know, in the last 2 or 3 months. We're going to use them from January 1, what something was, and that's by law what we're supposed to do is use January 1 numbers. But they are down a little bit from last year, and what we've noticed on that is commercial. Some of the commercial, and I'll tell you one of the biggest ones I think is Wiregrass Mall. We're noticing a lot of them are going out of there, and it's either closing or restaurants trying to go in, which we all know they're not open for a while or not at full capacity. So we have noticed that that may be some of the drop in the county is going to be more commercial than residential. I certainly hope not, because those are always big numbers. We still had a lot of great things come online. You still had several apartment complexes. You still had a lot of shopping centers come online. So, the county is still going to be between probably a 7 and an 8% increase, which the way the world is today, I still think that's a pretty great number. I really do. So that's, I'm not sure what else we can do except keep staying out there and watching what's going on. Our permits are still staying up. That's what, I was talking to the county, and the county's numbers as far as permits being pulled are still where they were. But the question is, you can pull it, but do you finish it? And I think that's, what we're kind of looking at and what the county's kind of looking at is their numbers are still up and they're still on pace to be, record numbers, but do those homes and businesses still get built? It's easy to pull them, but trying to finish them is a different story. So, that's one of our concerns too, is to keep watching that, see if those numbers stay where they should be. And we're still getting, almost 3,000 permits a month right now to go out and verify and to look at. So staff's catching up a little bit because of not being able to be on the road for a month, but they're working hard right now to catch them up. We haven't made any changes to the website. The only change I think we did make is we did add utilities. So the utilities tab now will tell you water and it will tell you electricity. So that was a big thing. We didn't want it in two different tabs. We're still working on some other things, but our priority was first get the tax roll done, get homesteads done, and then make sure we had secure website and a secure connection from people's homes to back to the office. So with the information. So, that was our priority for the first few months this year. So we'll work on some of the other stuff going forward. Trim notices will be out in August. We had our value adjustment board, we had a lot more petitions this year than we have since I've been in office. And I think a lot of that is we've caught up on some things where maybe they weren't there where they should have been. So we've caught up with them. We had a record number this year of petitions, but knock on wood, we want them. The value adjustment board agreed with us. It's one big group that tries to sue us every year, and this year they had a great big handful of them. But we went out on it, so we feel good about that. Staff does a lot of work. I'll tell you, I'm sure you've never been, but if you go to the value adjustment board, we have a 2-ring binder for each case. I mean, from photos to statements to comps it's really phenomenal what staff does and how many hours and time they have to put in. It's crazy, but that's all we keep winning. So we'll keep doing what we do. This is the hardest part, is you don't get questions. I know we always have a million questions, and I think that's one of the hardest parts right now. Yes, sir.
I will ask you a question. Gary, can you reiterate the homestead that you mentioned earlier? If they closed in 19,
If anyone bought a home in 2019 and closed on that house prior to January 1, we will still give them homestead. Absolutely. Have to be in the house by January 1 and close. But I know a lot of folks, they get hung up with trying to get a driver's license or trying to get this or maybe the spouse hasn't moved down yet. We see a lot of that where one spouse is here, the other spouse is still trying to sell a house up north or something like that. We still see that a lot. That's okay. Still, come on down. We'll still take care of it. Yes, ma'am.
Gary, so explain transferring it from one house to another. Do they have to be in by January, or can that happen anytime during the year?
We'll transfer it anytime during the year, but you're not going to see it until the following year if it was after January 1. And portabilities, we worked real hard to make sure those are in there right now. Portability is huge. We do it automatically. Some counties don't do it automatically. You have to ask for it. We automatically do it for you. So we have a little checkbox on there. So when they're filing for homestead or they're in the office over the counter asking for it, that's one of the first questions is, okay, on that address you just gave us, did you have homestead? And we verify it with that county, send them a form, they send it back, tell us how much, and we put it on immediately. So that is, you can't stress enough portability, and the amount, as a realtor, I'm sure it's hard to try to explain to somebody, yes, the tax bill looks like it's very affordable now, But unfortunately, this individual's been here 20 years, and when you buy this house, it's probably going to double. That's the unfortunate. I'll tell you one thing, we are seeing a lot of PACE loans. Holy cow, I mean, a ton. I looked at one today, I look at most of them. I just don't understand how you put a roof on for $14,000 and you end up paying back $35,000 over 20 years. It's just, I don't understand. That's almost to me highway robbery, or other things, wherever you want to call it. But we're doing a bunch of them. And it's anywhere from, they do roofs, windows, AC, solar. It's just, the only thing, if you're going to do it, I hope that the contractors are Pasco County contractors. A lot of them are, but a lot of them aren't. They're from out of county, and I'd rather see that money stay in the county if you're going to do it. That's the biggest thing. So, and we only have, I believe, 5 new CDDs this year, which I believe we're up to 66 CDDs now. Some of these are, a couple of them are pretty high dollar towards the middle of the county, and the rest of them are, the average 2,500 to 2,800, 3,000, somewhere right there. We've got a couple in the 5,000 range. That's one of the biggest questions we get too is, why is my tax bill $14,000? And sometimes it's that $6,000, $7,000 CDD fee, unfortunately. Yes, sir.
Gary, on the portability.
Yes.
Maybe a silly question, but on the portability, if somebody that has portability closes in January, that still does not apply until the following year.
Yes, sir. Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
There was some confusion on thinking that portability just meant, yes, it doesn't matter, it comes right over.
Portability is going to stay with the homestead. They're kind of linked, so when the homestead kicks in, the portability will kick in. Yeah, so you may have unfortunately, a high tax bill one year, but once your portability and your homestead kicks back in, then it'll go back down. So you could see that. You could see a real high when that first year you move in, not understand why, but again, then the next year you're going to see it drop quite a bit. So, and we do have that, if it's.
I think there's some misunderstanding when you say portability, because I've been at a closing table where exactly who doesn't. And I got to be honest with you, I've called a county appraiser's office, it's not yours, where they couldn't even explain.
That's because, and I hate to throw anybody under the bus, most counties don't even ask you about it. It's unless you ask, you don't receive it. And unfortunately, you can't go back and get it after so long. This year, it did pass where we only do portability now back 2 years. So, you got out of the house, you rented an apartment or a condo for a while, you're having a house built. If it was over 2 years, unfortunately, your portability was gone. You lost that dollar amount. Now, it's up to 3 years. And we all tracked a percentage of people that came in and asked for it from 2 years to 3 years. It was only like 8% of the people that came in lost portability. But if you're in that 8% and it's $100,000, it's a big amount. So it's a big deal. So, it may not touch that many people, but the people it does touch, it's huge. So. That's the bad thing, it's quiet now, isn't it? That's the worst thing, is it's quiet. I'm used to, unfortunately, I think you all are, the room being full and, we could go on for hours with questions, so.
What's it like in your office right now? Are you back at full?
We came back May 1st, kept in contact with staff and kept telling them, be ready, be ready. When it did, yes, I've spent, hard to find, but we found enough hand sanitizer. Big Storm Brewery, buy it by the gallon. So we just bought 4 more gallons last week. So between that, we found plenty of masks for staff, asked for customers if they would like. Each customer service desk that touches customers has plexiglass. We have it, more than happy to stop by, but we put plexiglass up. It's high enough you can't see over it, but it's high enough also where they can hand paper, sign documents, whatever. So far, we're getting good reviews on that. So we have our chairs, same thing. We had the chairs 6 feet apart. Knock on wood, it's just not a busy time for us right now. Now, I'm hoping this doesn't stay till August when it's trim time and I have the room full. At that point, we'll deal with it in a different way. But for right now, the 3 offices we're doing pretty good with keeping our distance. How's that? Can't say that in all the building, you know, it's chaos there sometimes, and people not knowing where to go and where to stand, and, you know, some pay attention and some don't care. The good news is we get more that care than I think than don't care. We don't have any one-way strips like, you know, Publix does, so I tell you, I caught myself the other day almost going down the wrong way, and I had to go all the way around because I forgot something, because there was already people on the aisle. So it's crazy. But we're hoping to stay open. We could have stayed open because we're considered an essential business, but I think the consensus was the best thing to do right then, as we had met what we needed to do. We just needed to start finalizing stuff, things staff could do from home. So that's what we did, and chose to close those 30 days. But depending on if it ever happens again, depending on the time of the year, we may not close. We may have to stay open just to, you know, to provide the services we need, whether it be homestead or trim, or, you know, when the tax notices go out. So we'll play it by ear and see what happens. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Gary, Pasco County Property Appraiser, for joining us, and thank you for everything that you do for Pasco County. We appreciate all the hard work that you do. Oh, sure.
It's a side note from the office.
Absolutely. But we already clapped.
You don't have to. I did have one side note, and it doesn't really have to do with my office at all. It has more to do with what I do. I'm also the president of an organization called Uplifting Neighbors. We started it with some help from the county. I've received some money from Duke Energy to give out, to pay electric bills. If you know of anyone that has Duke Electric that is unable to pay their bill, please have them call me. We'll take care of it for them. We'll pay Duke for them. We're not going to cut the check to the individual, but I just need a copy of the bill that you're unable to pay that's past due. Let me know. We'll write a check and take care of it. So let me know.
That's excellent news. I'd like to thank our sponsors once again, Paul Friedlander from Total Title Solutions, and Mike Chisel, who I didn't see him. That's why I was. Oh, he had to step out for sponsoring our meeting today. I hope everyone found value and got to enjoy the live feed from the comfort of your home. I'd like to thank all of our realtors here at the West Pasco Board, all of our members for adhering to the CDC guidelines and conducting business safely and professionally. I know that a lot of people are having an issue with the in-person open houses being still on pause. I assure you that I'm sure Stellar MLS, as soon as Florida Realtors is notified by the state attorney's Surgeon General's office, not the Attorney General's, the Surgeon General's office, that it's safe to do them, they will be turned back on in the MLS. Without any other questions from anybody in the room, because there's nobody in the room, thank you all for attending, and we will see you soon. Have a great day.